You talk about in an ever-changing world, a species needs to either adapt or they will die out. And then you go on to say, and I quote, that humanity is now faced with the stark choice: evolve or die.
There's so much to say in so little time. This is a song for those left behind, an insider's view to what's going on. If Christians are raptured away and are gone, in case of emergency, take this CD and make many copies to give away free. But first get a Bible and start reading now. The moment will come when they will not allow distribution, possession of anything Christian. You'll go underground, a secret resistance, and face persecution, imprisoned and beaten. Now is the time to make your decision, to battle his minions left on this earth, or fall for a false explanation. Prefer to be herded like sheep. The ancient delusion, the oldest of schemes, has come to conclusion. The mark of the beast from the father of lies, the angel of light, master of disguise. He's devising a plan, preparing us now, and through evolution convincing the crowds that aliens somehow are out there and bound to have all of the answers and power to know the solution. Like indigo children, smarter than humans, more intuition, much more evolved. They're sending a vision, prepare the whole world with a false explanation. If we're to evolve, we must remove Christians. They call it the cleansing, and this is their mission.
Evolve or die refers to whether humanity survives as a species. There is an enormous awakening happening on the planet.
The age of Aquarius, ending duality. Oprah, The Secret, and Eckhart Tolle preach what will bring in a new age reality based in traditions of pagan theosophy. Bound to be thousands of offshoots of Crowley, students of Alice C. Bailey who follow the lies of Helena Blavatsky, radically altering, changing the pages of history, laying the groundwork forged by the tools of Lucifer, paving the way for the United Nations. A slow preparation, patiently waiting since the creation. The Garden of Eden, a planet whose placement in time is persuaded by aliens, outside invasions, abductions, and cow mutilations, creating an atmosphere ripe for the picking with movies and Hollywood implanting trickery, mastery over the masses. The whole world collapses in panic, all desperate for someone to save them. Obey anyone that will answer their questions. The savior of sorts, a new age messiah. The wolf in sheep's clothing is what will transpire. The mayhem is out of control at this moment. A world full of chaos, confusion, and torment. I'm telling you, don't stop at anything. You can't afford to face life without Christ as your king. The moment might come when this song's a reality, trapped in a world where it's actually happening.
That's one of my favorite quotes that a significant portion of the Earth's population will soon recognize, if they haven't already done so, that humanity is now faced with a stark choice: evolve or die.
All right, what's going on, everyone? It's Steve JMO, and I got Bobby Stevens with us today. What's going on, Bobby?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing over there in Philly, right?
Yeah, it's getting pretty wild over here now. People are starting to get more scared by the minute.
Right, because you said that someone claimed there was a death from the corona today, and people are like freaking out.
Yeah, in Philly, my neighbors who haven't really talked about it are now talking about the coronavirus because the person in Philly apparently died. So yeah, people are starting to ramp up a little bit.
Yeah, that's all they need is one either real death, and they just point the finger. It's coronavirus. Could have been some like 84-year-old dude just dying, or no one actually died and they're just putting it out there. And either way, it's going to cause the same reaction. People freak out when they hear things like that. Like, oh, it's in my town. There's the enemy, the death. It's in my town. Like, we need Donald Trump. We need this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's getting crazy. Because I think, what was it, a couple of days ago, didn't Trump come out and say like people are going to start killing themselves if the quarantine continues to happen or something like that? And now today, New York Post says that an Italian nurse killed herself because she was tested positive, and she fears she already has infected people, and she doesn't want to infect anymore. So now they're going to start almost glorifying it, like killing yourself to save others, if you will.
Jesus, man, that's one hell of a way to knock off part of the population. Wouldn't you say? Like, hey, you're infected, might as well kill yourself. We don't have the vaccine yet, but it's coming. But you'll be dead before the vaccine comes. I could see that happening, especially a lot of people around here in my neck of the woods in like Western Mass and even Eastern Mass too, bro. They're so soft, man. They're so soft. Like the people around here, like they'll believe anything they see on TV, even if it's on like CNN and they're Trump people. They're like, oh well, might have to follow that. I'm like, no, bro. Like just go outside and look for yourself. Nothing's actually happening. The only thing I've noticed is like there's no people on the side of the roads anymore. There's just traffic, and that's even down. Like say there was 10 cars on the road 2 weeks ago. Now there's like 7. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, same here. Coming home because I live in Philly, but I work probably an hour from home sometimes with my job. So coming home around this time, it would take an hour to get home. It took me 25 minutes to get home.
Jeez, that's a huge difference. So you
Straight
might
down 95, straight shot.
Damn, that's interesting. And yeah, because I went all around Western Mass today. I started in my neighborhood, then I went out to Ware again to check out on that the National Guard stand, and it was still the same. Nothing new today, which is I guess is good for now. But I don't know. It's just strange. But I went all the way up Route 9 down to Route 202 and back around Springfield. And like I said, the only thing I noticed were, side of the road, there was no like bikers or there's a couple people fishing. That's where the Quabbin Reservoir is. It's giant freshwater reservoir. And other than that, it's pretty just like normal-ish, I guess. But I don't know, how are the clouds in your area today? Because I look up and it's just like gray and for miles and miles. And
it's horrendous. It's a blanket.
Yeah, I was gonna say. And honestly, it really reminded. I look up today. I'm like, what that color reminds me of that the water we were looking at last night with the holy water one specifically. Mm-hmm. How was that awful gray, and it wanted to be good, but it just couldn't. It just reminded me of that specifically. I was like, wow, man, it's interesting, but. A lot of people have been saying it's been like good in their neighborhood. Like I saw Real Truth down here, South Carolina, I guess. A lot of people are experiencing like no clouds, no nothing. The UK, they got put on lockdown or whatever yesterday. Not lockdown, but like a light lockdown, I guess you could put it. You're only allowed to go outside once a day or something. It's ridiculous. But they said it rains, obviously it's gray all the time in the UK. I guess today, no clouds, straight sunshine. I find that interesting. I find that weird. It's like they're manipulating the weather so it's like better when you're inside. Like, oh, see, you guys are stopping using your cars. This is great. The weather's coming back to normal. That's right.
I think the other day was 70 here. Like I think maybe like last week, and then ever since like the virus, quote unquote, started really taking off, it's been 40 and raining.
Yeah. Same over here. It was like 65 a week and a half ago, and then now it's like 30, 40. We had like 2 or 3 inches of shovelable snow the other day. It was that was on 322. So I'm like, here we go. Nothing like getting Steve wound up early in the morning. I look outside. I'm like, that's not good. I was like, every war movie I've seen, the troops move in when it's snowing. I just thought that was weird. Yeah. So I'm not the only one out here who thinks like that.
I mean, Richie from Boston said, on one of his videos, I think a couple of days ago, he said, watch the weather.
Yeah.
Watch the weather.
Yeah. And then I saw that and I'm like, oh, that's not cool. I was like, that's really not cool. It had me all bugged out and shit, but I don't know. It's just, it's imminent. What's going to happen is going to happen. Like I like to tell people, you could gear up, get the guns, get the bug out bags and, go in the woods and try to live out there. But everyone has touched a phone or a 4K capable, like a computer screen or your cell phone or laptop, the touchscreen laptops now. And that first of all, you get your fingerprint that way with the new iPhones and whatnot. Second of all, you hold it there long enough, it tamps into your heartbeat. Obviously, we're creations of God. We're individual. We all have individual heartbeats. Who's to say 5G can't be used as sonar above ground, which obviously it could be, seeing as it could, it can be used for a multiple array of things. And telecommunications is not one of them, which I find interesting.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the chat. Rick said that he's in Philly and a ShopRite employee tested positive. So I went to that ShopRite is like 20 minutes from my house. And I went there and I talked to some people and they said, well, he doesn't really, he, his job, he didn't stock or anything. And he wasn't a cashier. I'm like, what the hell did he do? He's not stocking. He's not a cashier. He's not behind any counter of some sort. What did he do? Was he a cart, like taking the cars back and forth? I don't understand.
Is he like the cart guy or something?
Yeah,
or...
like what did he do? Like why? Like why is this such breaking news in Philly? And he didn't work as a cashier. He didn't stock any shelves. So like, okay, what did he do?
Right. And that's kind of strange. Like you go to like any supermarket, like everyone does every other job at some point, except for like, working behind the deli thing. You got to have a certificate and whatnot for that in some places. But like you see someone, at the cashier spot, the next day I see them outside doing the carts, and the next day they're stocking. So everyone kind of does the same job on the interior aspect of a grocery store. So I find that really interesting. It's like, what did he really do? Then like, is there a deli in there or anything like that?
Well, yeah, they have, like where your produce is, where you can get your meats at and things like that. But like from all accounts I heard, he really didn't do anything that was like a vital, like where people need to be worried about it, or at least, or they're lying and he did, and they're not trying to scare people or whatever. But everyone I talked to said he didn't do anything vital. So I'm like, okay, why is the news done? I'm just confused on why I'm talking about this guy.
Yeah, right. Why would that even be a thing if he doesn't do anything there that is like puts the public health at risk? That's just weird. That's interesting. But what'd you send me? You sent me this last night. You sent me, well, not this exactly, but here, let me just do a full screen share. It's a lot easier that way.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you sent me tsunami last night, a tsunami alert.
Yeah.
That kind of had me alarmed, but it says it was canceled. So I find that interesting.
He canceled a tsunami?
Yeah, that's what I've gotten out of all the things I've read through here. Like, yeah, they were like, yep, it's gonna just, there was no actual like earthquake, I guess, or something, but potentially destructive as of 3 hours ago. But over here it says canceled. I don't know what that means. It comes from the
14 hours ago it said it was canceled, but then 3 hours ago it says potentially destructive.
Right, and look at the pictures they have here. Can I zoom in? They have tornadoes. They got like cliffs ending. They have.
I'm pretty sure the bottom two are from movies.
I think they all are. I think the top one here. This is literally from the movie Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying about the bottom left one. That picture there. I think that is from like the same kind of movie. Day After Tomorrow type thing. Like, are these even real photos? Like, what am I looking at?
Well, Washington Post released it, so
that's credible stuff.
Yeah, take that with a grain of salt, maybe. That's ridiculous. I just thought that was strange. Why can I not do anything right now? Am I frozen? Oh, that screen's frozen. That's interesting. Oh, it's because I'm zoomed in all the way. There we go. All right, yeah. Fuck.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was just
pumping the fear out, man. They're like I would say, even though like I know like a lot of truthers they don't like reading mainstream news and stuff like that, and I look at it because, like I was saying last night, they kind of like show you their playbook a little bit, because the people who are asleep, they don't even see it. People who are awake, I can read a headline and go, oh, okay, they want to do this, this, and this. And like, so like now they're saying the first homeless person in New York dies from coronavirus. The army or whatever is building makeshift morgues outside of Bellevue Hospital in New York. Brian mirrored a live stream not too long ago.
Yeah. I was looking at this article from Washington or New York Post. I'm sorry. Yeah. Makeshift. What the fuck does that keep happening for, bro? Come on. Can I get I can't even look at the headline here. All right. Makeshift morgue for coronavirus victims set up outside the hospital. And everyone knows what a morgue is. It's just, it's where they just stockpile bodies. And yeah, I just found that interesting. And what were you saying about Brian? He was what?
He mirrored a live stream. A guy, I forget the guy's channel's name. If Brian's in here, he can put it in the chat or join and tell us about it, because I watched it when I first got home. And so the guy lives in New York, so he went to Bellevue Hospital, and he was live streaming. There must have been 7 ambulances parked on the side of the road, and they're not doing anything. and he's asking about this makeshift morgue, and they were like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean? Are you joking me for real?" No one knew about it. It wasn't where they said it was. He finally walked around and found it, and when it got there, it was Air Force first, not Army. It was special ops, and no one would answer his questions.
Wow. Okay, I think he sent me that, and I caught a couple minutes of that. He was talking to an EMT guy, but yeah. So keep continuing. What did I miss in that? I only caught like 3 or 4 minutes of it.
Oh, but so he was walking around, and he was asking people who were outside the hospital, EMTs, personnel, nurses, or it doesn't matter, if they heard about the mobile morgue, and either people ignored him or they didn't know what he was talking about. He found some firefighters that worked obviously for the city. He asked them like, "Hey, where's this mobile morgue?" And they were like, "Are you joking right now? That's not funny." He's like, "No, I'm being serious." Like the New York Post posted. He's like, "No, I don't know where that's at." He's like, "Well, do you think it's vital for an EMT to know where, a mobile morgue is and stuff?" And they asked the guy, what you call it, the EMT. He's like, "Well, yeah, there's been a big spike in coronavirus, He's like, "Well, how many calls did you do last night?" He said 6,400.
So
Like,
that's
well,
the part I did catch. Yeah.
yeah, that part, yeah. So like I think right before that part was when he showed like the line of ambulances, and there was like 3 EMTs per ambulance, and they're just kicked back, texting. They're asking if they seen anybody with coronavirus, and they kept saying, "Well, yeah, like." He's like, "Have you personally seen one?" He's like, "Well, we can't test them, so we can only assume." And it's just like, so no, basically, like that's a no. Like what? A line of ambulances, nobody in the back from ambulances driving around with no lights, no sirens. It was like I don't know if you've ever been around a movie set, but like when they say cut and everyone kind of just sits around for 15, 20 minutes waiting for their spot. That's what it looked like. It looked like people waiting for something to happen, but nothing ever happens. They're just sitting there. Wow.
That's interesting. That's like I've never been around a movie set, but I used to watch Entourage back in the day, so I could, I'm assuming something like that. Everyone's just chilling, waiting for the actor or the director to get his shit together, and that's interesting. No one knows no one, not even EMTs. They can't pinpoint. They know people, but they don't know them. They've heard of them.
Yeah, they assume.
Sounds kind of like 9/11, where everyone's like, "Yeah, I know my sister's cousin's boyfriend's dog sitter died in the towers." It's like, "Oh, what's his name?" That beats me. It's like, "Oh, but you know him? You know him." It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, and you can't prove one single death from either one of these things. It's just a psychological operation, and that's really what I want to get forward a little bit more today is that this is just one big psyop, whether it's a live drill or this is like their freaking step, man. This is their like first step to what we've been talking about, this New World Order type deal thing, and it just correlates with all the other psyops. Like they're making this patriotic, like nurses are well, like you said, the one nurse offed herself apparently because she didn't want to contaminate other people, which is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous because a virus cannot be airborne. And if I have a virus and you somehow get some sort of it from me, it's going to be a completely different thing because my immune system's going to break it down. And it's going to come out of me completely different. So this is all just bogus. It can't be airborne. Like, how could a virus ever be airborne? And even if it was, what's 6 feet per person going to do? I don't know how people don't see that. Whether it's a real virus or not, 6 feet per person is not going to help anyone. A face mask isn't going to help anyone. A freaking, what do they have? Those PPE, like actual like face masks. That's not going to help anyone.
Yeah, stuff I wear all day.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy, man. What are you working a factory or something like that?
No, Terminex. I do pest control.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Cool.
So it's mandatory now because Terminex is scared to death. I have to wear my, I think it's the N95 or the M95. It comes with filters or whatever. But I don't wear it. Like I had to sign a waiver at work not to wear one.
Wow.
Just because I get the Rona, I can't sue them. I'm like, you guys are jokes. And in my line of work, I talk to a lot of people. I know, like I said, like yesterday, I was talking about that guy who works for a pharmaceutical company. I've run into nurses and doctors, and people are so blind because of what they read in a book that, like, even though I'll bring it up to them about the virus, how viruses can't be airborne, and they're like, yeah. But then they go right back to the coronavirus. I'm like, hold on, you just admitted out loud that viruses can't be airborne. That's not how viruses work. But yet you're still worried about a virus. Like, hello, the fly.
They don't get it, dude. People just, it's like it's kind of like the Mandela effect thing. People will like say like certain Mandela effects, and then, once you're like, yo, you're Mandela affected. No, I'm not. What are you talking about? It's like that on a different aspect. What is that called? Like, is that cognitive dissonance? Is that still classified as that? Or
I mean, God only knows in this society anymore. That's probably racist or bigoted to say about something. But it's like, yeah, that's what it is. It's people are so afraid because they would rather believe what they always been taught instead of stepping outside their comfort zone. So they go, oh, you know what? Even you could bring them all. You could be Superman and fly them up to the dome, and they can look down and see the Earth, and they'd be like, it's still round to me. It wouldn't matter. They wouldn't care.
It really wouldn't. Honestly, I was listening to a oh man, it was Richie from Boston. It was him. Who the hell was on there? I've had him on here. Oh, Ark from Destiny Lab and his brother. They were talking about how it's like that in a Christian aspect too. Like let's say like the seven seals, like we just surpassed that somehow, and Jesus came back. People wouldn't even believe that. They'd be like, oh yeah, I gotta go back to my Snapchat. Like, yeah, I don't know who you are, bro. It's like, oh, like he could come back in the flesh again right now, and people just wouldn't understand it, believe it, or even like recognize it as anything. As someone like me, I'd be like, oh boy, he's here. Like, it's ridiculous. People are so like socially conditioned, and it's just it's upsetting. It's really upsetting. And it just brings me back to the CBS hit they had a couple weeks ago, The War on Science. And then they ended on how we can't have it because it relates to as if an oil change. She was saying like, oh yeah, I have a car, but I need an oil change. I personally don't know how to do it. So I have to depend on the people at Jiffy Lube or whatever the F to change my oil. And that's how our society works. We're all dependent upon each other.
Mm-hmm.
And people in like higher authorities, we depend on them as well. And that's how they ended it. I was like, what? I was like, and everything before that was kind of okay. Like they were like talking about, they had clips of a flat earth conference. They have clips of a classroom who didn't believe in evolution, climate change enthusiasts, people who are trying to write history books that was actual history, not the watered down, like effed up version of history they're teaching now. And then that's how they end it. Like, oh yeah, we can't have all of these people in the war on science and academia because we need you to depend on science, the government, NASA, and all these other officials. And the CDC, of course, right now. Of course, can't forget them. The centers actually of disease control. It's interesting.
It's crazy. I agree with what Michael said in the chat. He said he feels like it's a supernatural force. And I feel like there's a battle going on because one of my friends since I was 12 called me, I think the other day, and he was like, hey man, remember when you were dating that girl and you were like really religious? And I was like, I still am. He was like, yeah, remember when you kept trying to get me to go to church and be saved? I'm like, yeah, I still would like you to do that, but that's your choice. And he was like, it's crazy. I never heard you say F God before. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, say it. Just say like F God real quick. I'm like, why would I do that? And he was like, I don't know. Like, I never heard you say it. I want to hear you say it. I'm like, no. And then he's like, come on, man. I was like, no, dude. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he hung up on me. I'm like, what was that?
That's interesting. That's wow. That's worse than like the Mandela updates I've seen in front of my face. That's crazy, bro. Like I agree with that. I've been saying that for a little while now. Like people call them NPCs. That's not a bad way to put them, but it's just people whose souls are just done, bro, and they can be entered and exited by some sort of supernatural presence to just take over like that. Like it's crazy. That's ridiculous. Like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a X amount of years, but say F God real quick. It's like, oh,
it was good. The weirdest thing because like me and him, like our relationship is like we won't talk for like 3 years and then we'll just be best friends. And we won't talk for 3 years and then we'll be best friends. And like so like it was in that kind of lull that we're in now. And he just hit me out of the blue. He's like, hey man, just say it. I'm like, no. Like it was like as if like he was possessed or something. Like it wasn't even him talking.
Did he sound different?
Not really, but like he was really aggressive. Like he was just like, I want you to say it. Like I need to hear you say it. And I was like, no, you're out of your mind, dude. What is wrong with you?
That's some crazy stuff, dude. Because I used to like do like paranormal research and like actual like hit the boots on the ground research, and then
Same.
obviously I've done like more than hundreds and hundreds of hours of like internet like paranormal research as well, and that like parallels with like what happens to people when they're like in a deep state of demonic oppression and don't even know it. They just start demanding things and like you said, that aggression rate, yeah, it goes up. And I bet he was really pissed off after he hung up that phone and could have possibly caused damage. Wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
So do you believe in that? The whole like paranormal ghosts and whatnot?
I don't know if you want to call them ghosts, but yeah.
I mean, that's what people would recognize what we're talking about if we say ghosts.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we can. Yeah, for that stance, yeah, absolutely. I've got some interesting documentation of them. I've had, I've been demonically attacked for a couple of years now, but it just started to stop after just like coming truly like one with God and just starting to get back into like, the roots of, because I went to a Christian school, and just like bringing that back into my life. And I don't know, like, yeah, dude, that shit's real, man. That's 100% real, because there's a dark side. And then there's obviously a light side, but God is real. But once you realize that, you realize the dark side is real. Unfortunately, for someone like me, I really had to realize the dark side was real before I jumped back on the side of of God and the Holy Spirit. Like that stuff, it's scary stuff, dude. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's definitely scary. I remember when I was like 13, which is going back a long way now, unfortunately. I thought it was a joke. Like I didn't really believe in anything. I just thought it was all a game. And then, so my friends were at his house, and he has like all these books on being a Wiccan and whatnot. So he started doing like this. I didn't partake in this little, I guess, seance you can call it, but I kind of stood back. And they're chanting, they're lighting these candles and whatnot. And then like they bring out a cat. I said, well, so where the hell did you get the cat? He's like, oh, it's a stray. I'm like, what are you gonna do with the cat? And like, so then I watched them kill this cat in the circle with all these candles. And I'm like blown, like I am so in fear. Like I can't move. I can't speak. And all I remember is looking up into the back room, which is all pitch black. And I just see two red glowing eyes just floating in the middle. And I booked. That was it. From that moment on, I had to know what it was. Like what was that? What did I just see?
Dude, yeah, I got chills up my arms right now. I've had experience like not like the cat killing, but we had a Ouija board going one time in this chick's house, and everyone's like, I don't feel nothing. I'm like, you guys are tripping balls right now. I'm like, you did not see that happen in the back room behind you then, huh? They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm gonna close this session now and go get high, because that was scary. Like, yeah, dude, that's some dark stuff. And what so after that, what actions did you take upon that with the curiosity factor?
Well, I realized at that moment that was obviously a dark force of some kind. So I was okay, well, if there's a dark force, there has to be a light force, obviously, because yin and yang and the balance of the universe. So I was like, okay, so let me go into this. So then I got me and a couple of my friends. We kind of bought a couple really cheap voice recorders, and we just started like looking up abandoned places in Philadelphia, and we just started going to these. So we went to like Rick in the chat might know of Byberry Mental Institution. It was all these legends and lores of them doing unnecessary surgeries and people dying. There was a tunnel underneath of it apparently where they would transport the dead bodies to other places or transport patients in that way to do these experiments and whatnot. And so like we start going to these places, and then like the experiences we got, I found that it was really all about how you went into it. If you came at them with love and peace and that kind of energy, like that's kind of what you got back. If you went into it like there was times where we weren't getting anything or wasn't feeling nothing, so I started like provoking it, and that's when those are some of the worst times of my life.
Yeah.
you know, in the
Yeah.
middle of the dark room at 3 in the morning at a mental hospital where no one knows where I'm at because I snuck out of the house at 14. So my mom was sleeping over a friend's house. So now here I am in an abandoned mental, institution, and I'm having a demonic entity. I've been possessed. I've had rocks chucked at me after like trying to provoke something. It really is real, and it's something that's there, and going into it with an open mind was the right but bad approach, because I've been possessed. Like there's been times I was at a spot and then I lost an hour or 30 minutes where I just left the group.
Hey.
They found me later in the room, that kind of thing.
Dude, that's happened to me before, bro. Everything you say just brings me back to like 2 or 3 specific experiences. I'll share those after, but you keep going, man. This is interesting.
Yeah, so there's a mental. I don't know why I kept going to mental institutions. I just wanted to die apparently. But so it's called Penhurst, and it's a really big attraction, especially around Halloween here in PA.
I've done some deep research on there, and there's some stuff. Even the people like to say that Ghost Adventure show is fake. I've gone to so many places that they've been. That shit, like whatever they're doing, like obviously like they're doing it like badly because they're got tattoos and bad stuff all over them, and he's got the house of like demonically possessed dolls and shit or whatever. But they know exactly what they're doing, where they're going, and who they're provoking before they get there. You know what I'm saying? Like that. And then I've gone to some places in the Northeast around here, and yeah, that stuff, it's literally like you see it on TV. People be running out of the fucking rooms and shit be happening. There's 3 people when you brought 2, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? And yeah, bro. So yeah, like people be careful watching that stuff too. Be really careful. I don't watch that stuff anymore. You know, I have a separate YouTube page I made called Our Haunted State. I've only have 1 upload on there, and to this day, I haven't. I'm like terrified to rewatch that footage that I put up there. That's like me documenting shit too. Like I'm cool watching it. Like maybe everyone in the chat when I get into it's like, yo, we gotta watch that. Like throw it. I'm like, like I'm cool.
It's definitely crazy. It's like, because there's some things that happen that in the moment you don't catch, and then when you go back and you watch it and you see something like a dark figure walk right by or a dark figure in a corner of a room, and then you're like, I was that close to a demonic entity, and I was in there just being a jerk, like being a dickhead, just wandering around this room thinking I was cool or trying to document something, and there was literally a demonic entity in that corner that could at any moment just could attack me or attach itself to myself. And I'm just walking around like, hey, anybody here? And give me 3 knocks. And like, it is the craziest thing. But when we went to Penhurst, we had to pay to get in there. This is when we were older. We paid the guy, I think like $50 a person. And so
Did you have to sign the waiver? Because I had to do that somewhere else too. Yeah.
We were only allowed in one building. The buildings we were allowed in were the ones they use for the regular like Halloween, because they're the only ones that are kind of like upkept a little bit. So we went in there, and there was one spot where I remember saying, hey, I'll be right back, which obviously he don't say. I'm going to go check this out real quick. And my friend said, okay, sure. And I made a left down a hallway, and that's it. And then 30 minutes later, I remember my friends running into a room going, yo, you good? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we couldn't find you for 30 fucking minutes. Where'd you go? I said, what are you talking about? Like, I couldn't remember where I went. But when they found me, I was standing looking out of a window, and I'm like, I was possessed. Like, cause I have an open mind. Like I was also stupid. I would say, hey, use me. I'll give you your vessel, show me. And then, so I got possessed, and this thing took me to a room, I guess maybe where they used to stand and look at and watch people do stuff, or maybe people ride up and drop people up. I don't know what they were doing, but there's 30 minutes of time I lost, and I can't remember. I don't know what I did. I remember saying, I'll be right back. And I remember them saying, yo, you good. Other than that, I have no recollection of what I did. None.
Wow. That's crazy, dude.
Crazy, stupid. That's what it is. It was stupid. I was playing with forces I didn't know. I still don't understand fully. And I just walked in like a dumb piece of meat bag into a lion's den, man. And they were just waiting.
Damn, dude. That brings me back like personally, because that specific thing pretty much happened to me. Like once we were so we all know about, Jason Voorhees, Camp Crystal Lake, blah blah blah, Well,
Yeah.
ironically, there's a Camp Crystal Lake in Connecticut, right on the other side of the border.
Really, there's one in New Jersey as well.
Well, the really ironic part is it has an abandoned campground.
Oh no.
So fucking scary, bro. Like we went there in broad daylight, may I say, and this is when after I've purchased the Ouija board, and we went in this like must have been where the showers used to be, and there was no glass anywhere, and like we get in there, and like I was like, yo, you go stand in that one, I'll stand in this one, and then we just heard like glass shatter everywhere. We're like, dude, what the fuck was that, bro? And we're looking around, and there's no glass that even shattered, but we heard it, and we go outside because we brought these two chicks with us, and they were like, nah, we didn't hear nothing. I'm like, okay, so me and this kid Kelder, like that was my boy Ryan. His last name was I called him Kelder. So I was like, what's up, bro? I'm like, we're on the same wave right now. I'm like, these chicks are like here in the reality world. I'm like, we're tapping in. I was like, leave them here. Let's go in this building. And it was like the nurses building. And I've never been in there before in this whole
Leave them here.
like outside in the regular. I was like, yeah, bro, like saying weird shit like that. He was like, oh, all right.
That's
He's
me
like,
too, though. But so I don't judge.
yeah, he was like, you lead the way. I'm like, by all means, let's go. And like I said, I've been here like once or twice before to smoke, but like that was on the other side of the lake, and that's like you could only like there's like one little cabin, like you wouldn't know it was like haunted from that part. A little weird vibe, but so we went back, and like I said, I went with my buddy. We have the Ouija board. I tell them to stay over here because we were connecting and we heard it. So I was like, let's go in this building. And that obviously the Red Cross on it. It's a nursing building of some sort where maybe the kids went for first aid or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we go in there, and I've seen something at the time I've never seen before in my life. I saw a bunch of pictures of, obviously I've been in other haunted places. You see like demonic things, like, like sigils on the wall and paintings of Lucifer. But to that time in my life, I've never seen a blue image of Lucifer. Like they painted this demon blue, and I was like, that's strange. And then just hour and a half later, I come to it in a Wendy's bathroom throwing up black shit. I don't know. I got nothing.
Whoa, no, I would never go outside again.
Yeah, I did. I pretty much did it for a little while. I was like, okay, so maybe we should stop with the whole board thing. And since then, I put it in the backseat of one of my cars, and then I sold the car, and I didn't even tell the dude it was back there. I was like, yeah, you could have this car for like $100, bro. I'm like,
take it, dude. Here you go.
Right. I was like, oh, you, bro. I was like, I'm out. I was like, I'm out of that shit. But yeah, so.
But I'm very happy about the experiences because that's actually what brought me back to God.
Right. Dude, same. I didn't know because I was like 18 at this time, maybe 19. And well, something I should share about the Ouija board. The day I got it, right, I bought it in Amazon or whatever, and it came in. I was like, oh man, let's play around and see what happens with it by myself. And nothing happened, bro. So like I was like, all right, I'm just gonna put this piece of shit away. I put it, I said goodbye, put it away, and like I put it under my like here. Let me start my camera real quick. It was literally like right here. So like I'm in the chair, right? And it was like under the chair. Like I put it like underneath the chair.
Yeah.
So like, ooh, did I just flip on everyone? That was weird. Cool. Yeah, so I put it underneath there, like underneath the little, because the chair is like broken, doesn't go down all the way. It only goes like up and then like halfway. So you can slide anything under there. I slid it right under there, and I'm like on the cusp of going to sleep that night. And like next thing I know, I felt like something like grabbed my ankle. I was like, that's strange. And then like it was like someone just just started like rapidly grabbing like up your leg with one hand, like touch you like all the way up. I was like, whoa, bro. I was like, what the fuck is that? So I turned the light on and I'm looking down. The board is completely out, ready to be played. I was like, okay, maybe we shouldn't have bought this thing. And I bring it downstairs, and my uncle tells me for the next like 3 or 4 nights, everything downstairs in the living room turned on at 3 a.m. The printer, the computer, the TV, the cable itself, everything, lights. He was like, what the F, dude? And like the dog we had at the time was like maybe like 15 or 13 years old, and she was spooked. She was one of the smartest dogs I've ever seen. Like, you could throw a rock into a pile of rocks, she'll come back with that same rock. So she was like, oh, like, I'm gonna go sleep with mom in the other room, you know. So
Yeah.
that was like probably the first sign I should have taken. And then that event happened a couple of months, maybe a year after that, because I like kind of chilled with the whole Ouija board bringing it out, but I was still like going places. And this was before, like, I was working in the kitchen doing dishes and washing walls, so didn't have enough money to get equipment or anything. But this one time, so me and my buddy, this is when like the iPhone or the iPod touches were cool, where that had like or not.
First off,
Yeah,
before you go on, the greatest thing Apple's ever made was the iPod touches. Like Generation 3 was the greatest fucking thing ever.
And you could jailbreak the fuck out of that thing, dude. Yep. I had the one, dude. You would turn it on, and the apple would like switch to a skull and just fade away. And then everything was like black and green, like the Matrix. I was like, yeah, this is sick. And I had like, dude, I had like $50 apps for free. Like, I had every single song. Like, people were getting pissed at school. They're like, dude, how do you like have all this? I'm like, shh. I'm like, dude, don't even worry about it. I'm like, because we had this one kid at school. He didn't want to like be like public about it, but like if you just gave him like $30, he'd do it. I'm like, yeah, like let's do it, bro. But so yeah, so like so that was the iPhone, or that was the iPod Touch 3. Which one had like the good camera? That was like the 5 that came out shortly after. So the 5 that had the dual camera front and back. Yeah. So me and my other buddy Kurt, we go to Belchertown State Asylum in Massachusetts. They've been taking it down ever since. But we went there, and like, actually we brought the Ouija board, now that I think about it. Yeah. And ironically, you know, nothing happened before the old Ouija board came out. We're walking around. It's not even that big, bro. Like, I could go from end to end in like 9 minutes, probably 3 minutes in a run. And that is like, listen, keep that in mind through the rest of the story. Right. So we bring the Ouija board out, and like nothing's really happening. And like, I don't know what was going through our minds. We brought some candles. I was like, yeah, let's light these candles up around it. We only had like 3. We didn't have them in like any specific direction, but you know, 3 makes a triangle, the pyramid, and blah, blah, blah. Figure all that out like 10 years later. I'm like, oh, good job, Steve. But so nothing really happened even after that. And then like, out of nowhere, this like random bug comes down, lands on the Ouija board, and Kurt out of nowhere, boom, slaps it dead. I'm like, dude, why'd you do that? He's like, I don't know, bro. I'm scared now. I was like, what? And then the wind, bro, it was like a 94-degree day, humidity. The wind starts picking up. And like, we were trying to get into some of these buildings, and they're bolted shut. Doors start flying open and shut, and we're like, oh shit, we got to get out of here, bro. So we pack it all up, and dude, we're running like out of our minds for like 20 minutes. 20 minutes, bro.
You don't feel that though. The adrenaline is a hell of a drug.
We couldn't find the way out, dude. We couldn't find the way. And every time I looked up, bro, we were going past the same fucking tree, and there was someone sitting in there with a hat. And I was like, that ain't cool on me. Like, that's some scary, spooky stuff. And I think Jen's here. What's up, Jen?
Hey guys, what's up?
What's up?
Hello, Bobby.
Hello.
Bobby from Philly.
We're talking about spooky demon things.
Yeah, we're talking about like paranormal experiences. He had some crazy ones, and I've had some too, and we're just, you know, sharing that and how they ultimately were like probably meant to be for us and brought us closer to God that way, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely believe in the spirit world, and from the 9 circles of hell and all that stuff, we know that there's demonic entities and good entities as well. It's just beyond our field of view.
Yeah, for sure. That's what
Are you outside?
Yes, I am. It's beautiful out today.
I thought you were. I was like, she's either in a closet or outside. I can't really tell.
You're going to hear a lot of birds.
I heard the birds, and I was like, all right.
But no, so yeah, I think when I was like 21 is when we decided to go Big Balls McGee, and we were like, we're going to go try to investigate the Eastern State Penitentiary.
And bro, same with the 21. That's when I got big balls and went to the Hoosick Tunnel up in North Adams where Ghost Adventures went, and they kind of refused to go in there. They were like, we're gonna go to this other spot actually. So if that doesn't say anything, you know what I'm saying. But continue.
Yeah. So we went to Eastern State and we paid about $100 a person to get locked in here from like 9 to 3 in the morning. And so we're kind of going around. Nothing's happening. Like, it went from like a scary, oh my God, to a, bro, we're in an abandoned prison. We were like we were like skipping through. We were just making a joke out of it. And then near the end of the night, we go and there's like 3 cells. I forget what block, but we're sitting alone in each cell, you know, right next to each other. And we're talking. And then I start getting mad. I'm like, this is in Philly, my hometown. This is supposed to be one of the most scariest places in the world, and nothing's happening. I said, out loud, I said, these ghosts in here are nothing but a bunch of pussies. And that's when I heard my friend say, ow. And he got up and started running, and he came out, and he was busted open.
What?
Top of his eyebrow was just bleeding. I said, what the fuck did you do? He's like, I didn't do anything. I was just sitting there. And so he had a camera on him. And so we you know, watched it back. And when I said, you ghost a bunch of pussies, a rock comes into frame and hits him dead in the eyebrow and cuts his eyebrow. He needed like 9 stitches.
What?
When we go back, I mean, I'm excited as hell. I'm like, oh my God, this is the greatest piece of evidence. Sorry about your face, but this is amazing.
Where were you located at on this adventure here?
Eastern State Penitentiary.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know right where that's at. Isn't that in Bridesburg?
No, that's like North Philly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
It's a big one where Al Capone was at.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
Age. Yep.
And so we go to the hospital because we're good friends. And he gets stitched up, and we're telling the nurses, we're telling all the doctors, and they're like, no way. We're showing them the footage. They're like, oh my God. We get home, we plug the computer in, and everything's corrupt.
What?
We can't download nothing. Nothing. It was all lost. So the only thing we have is just our story.
Dude.
Wow.
So like I was saying in Belchertown, that we recorded that entire session, right? And we finally get out of there, chill out. The next day, Curtis's iPod is locked for like 700 fucking years, bro. You know, when you type in the wrong password on your old iPhones and it's like disabled for 10 minutes, disabled for 20. Something happened. Dude, it was disabled for like 700 fucking years, bro. It said like 32 million hours or something. Or whatever. It was ridiculous. Or billion hours. We did the math out. It was like almost like 650 years. We were like, dude, what the fuck? And like we could never review that. So he had to like refresh his laptop or whatever. So yeah, that shit happens, bro. They fuck with your tech. They gave us the tech, you know?
Yeah, but that's when
crazy.
I start getting back into God a little bit. See, my whole thing, because I grew up not religious, like my mom or dad wasn't like, you better. My uncle, every time he watched me a lot growing up, and my brother, and so every night we got Bible verses, and he would break it down what it meant. And I wasn't like I didn't like it. I loved it. And as I got older, I became cynical. I was like, oh, that's just like for kids. That's, you know, it was written by man, edited by man. I was just so, because I think I had it so much in my life, I want to like get away from it. But then when that happened at Eastern State, I was like, oh, okay. You know what? That was definitely something demonic. There's got to be something good. So I started getting back into it. And then I had my son at 23. And then 2 years later, so 25 now at this point, he's 2 and he's walking, he's talking, and he comes up to me and says, Daddy, who's God? I said, what? He was like, who is God? I was like, are you trying to say dog? Are you getting confused? He's like, no, who is God? I was like, Jesus Christ is. And he's like, well, I miss him, and walked off.
What?
And I said, and then like literally, like I asked him about it. I mean, he was only 2, but like I asked him about it, and he's like, I don't know. I never said that. I'm like, oh no, you did. Yeah, you sure did, dude. But that was the moment at 25. So for the last 6 years, I've just been getting heavy into it, reconnecting, praying every day, reading the Bible verses every day. I got the Daily Bread app on my phone. I read the verses they put up to read every day. I pray after that every day. I read the verses to him, you know, on the weekends when I get them, because I work all the time. But he's the reason why that connection was brought back.
That's awesome. That's like the awesomest, craziest thing I've ever heard in my life, man. That's insane. Wow.
God works in mysterious ways. That's what they tell me.
Yeah, he does that, man. He knows how to get you personally because he knew us before we were us physically. You know, it's just so you can't even explain something like that. It's just awesome, supernatural, and if people, you know, if you don't see that as there being a sign of a creator and God and goodness, like I don't quite know what to tell people anymore because that's crazy. That's awesome.
No, yeah, he knows, like God knows. I mean, there was a time I remember when I was 14, I was skateboarding and it started to snow in the middle of like April. It was hot. I was in shorts and t-shirt, and it just started to snow. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I remember looking up. I was with my friend Shane, and I said, "God, if you love us, get us out of this snow." And we both laughed because we were stupid. And literally 2 minutes later, my mom pulls up. And she's like, "Hey, you want to ride home?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I get in. She's like, "You know, it's funny. I never go this way, but something just told me to make a turn and come down this road." I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, so like my whole life he's been trying to like talk to me, and like I get my answer, and I just go, well, that could have been, you know, coincidence, if you will.
Oh yeah, the good old word.
But when my son came up to me at 2, it was like, "Who's God?" And I was like, "What?" That's what finally got me.
Right. That's awesome. So I would have been like, "You're asking me?" I'm like, "What? What's going on here?" That's crazy. That's like moving. That should be like freaking on the news. That's awesome. But yeah, it's just so crazy how you gotta go through like all the negative like stuff to finally like, you know, get confirmation that the good side does exist, because like you were talking about how like someone got hurt in one of your experiences. Like I don't know if anyone like physically got hurt. Well, I don't know what you would call this. So this is all on the other YouTube page, and it's kind of hard to talk about this stuff sometimes. But like I said,
I feel you, brother. I feel you.
Yeah, it's just hard. But like I said, there's that place in North Adams, Massachusetts called the Hoosick Tunnel. And if you look up the root word, the word there, Hoosick, and you run it through like a database and the origins of it, it'll bring you back to Mohawk Indians. And it's a fact the Mohawk Indians were the Indians of that land back in the day, because it's called the Mohawk Trail that it's on. So there's no, you know, just so people aren't like, "Oh, he's just making this up." But Hoosick in Mohawk means forsaken, forbidden, or just pretty much death. Like it's called the Hoosick Valley. And the interesting fact is, none of them Indians ever lived in those mountains. They always like stayed away from there and stayed at the base of the mountains or in like surrounding villages. They never even ventured up there. And then the white settlement came in, and they saw an opportunity to blast a hole through the mountains and connect New York and Massachusetts with a railroad road, and they called that the Hoosick Tunnel. Interesting fact that when they were building the Hoosick Tunnel, over 200 men died for no apparent reason. Well, not no apparent reason, but right when they connected the tunnel, because they had people in Florida, Mass, and people in North Adams, Mass, connecting the tunnels there through the mountain range. Once they finally met the middle, explosions went off, and everyone died in between there, all 200 men. For no specific reason, the explosions went off, and that itself can cause interesting energy to live on there forever. But it's speculated, and I think it's a fact that something did that, something really dark, and I have a hard time believing it's demonic. I think whatever is there was there before time or during like the beginning of time, and I think whatever's there is fallen angel in nature rather than demonic, because I think there's big difference between demonic entities and fallen angel entities. Demonic is just like erratic, here to hurt you, or not like necessarily hurt you, but cause outer chaos. The fallen ones are the ones who just like know things you never would think they would know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, while you're talking, I looked it up. 196 workers died in the explosion, leading to survivors to dub the tunnel the Bloody Pit.
Exactly. The blood. Yep. Yeah. We've never actually made it to the bloody pit. Like in fact, we've never made it there. We've never been that far into the tunnel. Like me and my the buddies and people I've gone with. I've been there probably 5 times. The first time we went, it was just more of like an experience type deal. We went in there for like 2 minutes each, and we were like, "Yeah, this place is really scary. We'll probably go back now." And the second time we went, I grabbed a camcorder off of eBay or whatever for like $60. It was one of those like handheld HD and night vision ones, and we bring it there, and like I don't know how else to really explain this, but there was a doll in the tunnel, and like that was like we went there like a week before, and we go there the next weekend with the camera and 2 or 3 people, and there's like this doll with a porcelain head just chilling in the middle of the tunnel, and we're like, what the F does this really mean? And I started provoking it, and on camera that night we got a couple of orb entities just flashing through the, just across the screen, and they're not dust. You could see the difference between dust in the footage. And one of my buddies, he's one of the skeptics. He still denies it, but there's video footage of him looking, like shining his light at it, following it, and just like disregarding it and going back to his little safe hound world or whatever the F. But yeah, so we document that thing, and they heard like screaming on the other side of the tunnel. So I didn't really hear that, but they said they heard that, and like they heard a child's laughter, which I didn't hear at the time, but we got that on the audio afterwards. I found out, and we went. I had no intention of going back the night after, because once I got home and took a shower, I realized there was 3 distinct scratch marks down my triceps or down the back of my left tricep, and it was just like my stomach didn't feel good after that, and it's just really strange because like in the film, it's all just, I didn't do any editing. I just threw it up as is. And in the timeline of the film, I actually talk about how I never want to go back there again, pretty much. And then I get home and shower, and I get the mark on me, and I'm like, I never want to come back here again. And then my other friend, she's like texting me because I told her we'd go that weekend, and she's like, I got the night off, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so she pretty much like guilt tripped me into going back again. So I round up another 2 of my buddies again, and we take her car, and, I'm like pretty much like feeling like I'm like in the back of a morgue going up there again. Cause it's like a 3.5 hour drive from my house. And I'm just like in silence the whole time. I didn't say shit, I was like, like this is not going to be enjoyable. I hope you all know this. And they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay. I'm like, I had like, how would I know? But you'll see, we'll get there. And we get there, and all 4 of us go in. We have the camera, and we get to where the doll was last time, and it wasn't there. We're like, that's strange. So we walk up a couple more paces, and every 100 feet on the on the wall is marked with it was marked like at the 100 mark would be a 1, at the 200 mark would be 2, and then 300 would be 3, and ongoing. So it tells you how far you are in there. And I think the doll was somewhere between like 5 and 6, and we didn't find it until between like 6 and 7. So it was up a couple feet, which we found interesting. And the head was gone, and it was mangled, and it looked like it's been there like 30 years. Like stuff was deteriorating. It was just devastated. Like obviously it's in a train tunnel, an active train tunnel, but the train doesn't do that if it's not on. It wasn't like near the track. It was on the side. And it was in like a pit of water, and it had like this rope wrapped around it, and it was like around where the head would be, but the head was missing. And like I put all that together in my head, and I was like, you guys can go and watch this doll. I'm going to leave for a little while. Like I'm getting the fuck out of here to go like get some fresh air and process this, because they didn't really understand it at first. So we get out of there, and they're like, oh, okay, let's all go back in. I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should like take a more cautious approach, which I think we shouldn't have, because it wasn't really cautious in nature. We went in 2. There was 4 of us. 2 stayed out, 2 went in. And I'm sure you know this, Bobby. When you're dealing with like negative entities, they don't really, they're not going to come to a group of 4, you know, but a group of 2 is a lot less intimidating for them.
They're cowards.
Yes, exactly. So we go in 2 by 2. The 2 boys stay out. It's me and my friend, my girlfriend, Heather, not my girlfriend, but my female friend at the time. She comes with us and she's got the camera. I'm like, all right, I'm like, turn that sucker on. Let's, we're about to get up to the doll again. And she turns it on. We're walking. And like, we get up to the doll. And next thing you know, all you hear is glass shatter again. And we look down and what's at our feet? The doll's head. She said, I don't feel good no more. I was like, me neither. Like, our stomachs turned. She was ready to run. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, let me try something real quick. I tried to rebuke it in the name of Jesus Christ, and all hell broke loose in there. All hell broke loose. Like, it felt like there was like, you ever look into Cthulhu? You know who Cthulhu is?
Yes.
It felt like Cthulhu's tentacles were wrapping himself around my body limb by limb. Started with the arm, and then it went limb by limb, and then I was just like in a vice grip from like a anaconda or something. Snake in nature. And I was like, uh-oh. And this chick's like running. I'm like, yo, I fucking can't move. I'm like, I don't know where the fuck you're going right now. And she's like, what? I'm like, do you see me? I'm like in like here, let me turn my camera on. Cause I was like in some like position like this, you know, like fucked, like can't move, just completely just effed. I'm like what do we do? And she was just panicking, and I just like started thinking the name of Christ again, and it finally like let its grip go. And I caught up to her, and like we're running at this point, and like we're at like a light run, you know. And I was like, are you good? She's like, yeah. Are you okay? And I'm just like, yeah. What was I gonna say? And then we both look at each other, and we both said this at the same time. She was like, doesn't it feel like someone's like, and like we were about to say watching or like after us, and like right when we like said that together, you could like we heard the most crazy, like it wasn't even a growl, it was like something you would never imagine hearing. Like it was just like some sort of like bass, some sort of like sound wave, and you could see the wave of the frequency come around us, and we booked it out of there. We were out, and we get out, and we're fucking panting and, you know, trying to catch our breath. And they're like, what happened? I'm like, yo, whatever's in there is not happy right now. And they're trying to go back in there. I'm like, nah. I'm like, we're leaving. I was like, do you want to leave, Heather? She's like, I want to leave. I was like, did Heather drive? She's like, yes, I did. I'm like, then let's get the fuck out of here. I was like, we can leave these 2 fools 3 hours from our house. That's all good by me right now. I'm like, I'm leaving. She's leaving. Y'all need to get out of here. And that was like some intense stuff. And you would think Steve would not go back there again. No, goes back one more time, like 2 or 3 weeks later. And that was like just as bad, because I go there with the kid that was a skeptic, a kid that was like, you know, he was aware to what was happening, but could never like comprehend it like mentally. And then there was me, and we didn't bring any cameras. I had my voice recorder. At this time, we had a temperature gun, an EMF detector, and just some flashlight and shit. And like I have it all in my backpack. And like like I said, we never got to the point of like the bloody pit, the actual center of the tunnel, but we got really close. We were like 2.5 miles in almost. It's like a 5 point whatever mile tunnel. So we never actually got to that middle point. But I've been in there when a train comes by, and so have they. And we're like 2.5 miles in this bitch, bro. And like the walls are starting to shake, the tracks are starting to vibrate, and we're like, uh-oh. So luckily every like 100 feet, there's like a little hut that you could hop in there. So we just hopped in there. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes go by, no lights, no nothing. I was like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting the fuck out of here. And they were like, I'm right behind you. And I'm leading the way. I'm walking like 3 feet per strut. I'm getting the F out of here. Like we were at like the 256 mark. And like every time I looked up, it was like, now we're at 200 and then 170 and then 160. Then before I knew it, we're getting close. I'm like, thank God. And next thing I know, we're at like the 10 mark, and we're at like the 2 mark, and we're at like the 1 mark, and somehow these guys are in front of me outside of the tunnel. And I'm like, I don't drink. I didn't drink at the time. I quit alcohol before that. I felt hammered. I was like, hey, I'm not good right now. They're like, what do you mean? I was like, I feel hammered. And then I heard like something behind me, and I don't know what triggered this. I dropped my backpack. I dropped my flashlight. I started darting back into the tunnel. And this whole time I'm talking trash. I'm like, we were here for 2 fucking hours. You didn't show yourself once. You're nothing but a pansy. You can't do nothing. You're the weakest thing I've ever come in contact. Blah, blah, blah. You know, just fueling it up pretty much. And before I know it, I'm back at the 3 mark, which is the 300 mark. I look down at my watch. It's ironically 3:33 in the morning. A blue plasma lightning beam goes above my head and shoots out of the tunnel. Swear to God. Next thing I know, I look behind me. I see my boy's shadow outside of the tunnel. I see my other boy's shadow, and like to the right and like behind them, there's another like big shadow. I was like, yo, there's 3 of you out there. And then they said they heard like a tiger growl, and they ran inside the tunnel, and we're like, we got to get out of here. And since then, I haven't been back. And that morning I went into a church and prayed my life away pretty much. And that was the end of me talking to demonic beings by choice. But from there on, like, it was crazy. Like, I was working at a factory at the time, and every time I look up at the timer, see how much time is left, it would read like 3 minutes and 33 seconds, or it'd be 555, or you know, just weird stuff would happen, and interesting synchronicities that were not like good in nature. But since I've accepted Christ back in my life, like, the synchronicities I've been getting are much better. Like I was telling you today, I was listening to that Richie from Boston podcast with Ark and his brother. And I was in the live chat that night, and I'm driving around for like an hour and a half, you know, and I'm just like, oh, I wonder how much time is left on this video. And I look up, and it's my comment on the screen. I was like, that's crazy, bro. And like yesterday, I don't know if I told any of you guys this, yesterday, me and him were emailing a little bit back and forth a couple days before. And right, because I mirrored a video of his yesterday on my live stream, and then I just happened to look at my email real quick. Who's my first email from? Richie from Boston. I'm like, there you go. So that's how you know now we're on the same wavelength in a positive manner.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
beautiful things.
I thank God that, you know, I didn't like fall down the path, because I was on that curiosity path. You know, curiosity kills the cat. Every time you go back and deal with these things, it takes something from you. And I realize that now. But I'm thankful it hasn't taken everything from me, and I refuse to let anything like that take any more from me. You know, the temple is mine, and it's Jesus Christ. It's Jesus Christ, and it's mine to defend. And they're not going to get mine. You know, I'll take they got guillotines. I'll take a guillotine. You got guns. I'll take a gun. You want to throw me in a river of fire? Do what you got to do, bro. I'm not taking your mark.
Yep. I'm sorry.
No. You go.
Speaking of Richie from Boston, I mirrored his most recent video earlier today, and they took it down off my channel.
The one which one is it here? Was it this one right here?
He just did a 5-minute one earlier today. I don't know if it's still on his channel or not, but they definitely took it off mine.
This one here, you have less than a week.
Yes.
Well, let me hit refresh and see if it still pops up. Uh-oh. What's going on?
Yep. So it's still on his channel, but they took it down off mine.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. We could play that in a little bit if you want.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I caught a good part of it this morning. Yeah, Richie's a good guy, I feel, you know. Ever since because it was so weird, because right when I started after the whole Hoosac Tunnel experience, that's when I really discovered, because I was listening to Richie a little bit before, but that's when the solar eclipses and all that other stuff started to happen. And I was like, oh man, good thing I'm not on that side of the fence anymore. I thank Richie for that. And I email him that all the time. I know he gets probably annoyed because he's looking, I don't know. I just,
he's driving coast to coast.
Yeah, right. And he's getting nonstop emails from a 25-year-old like, hey, thanks. He's probably like, yeah, go flush your head in the toilet. But,
I'm not going to lie. when I first started getting into the whole truther movement on YouTube, because I can't remember what age I was, but I was just like, this guy's nuts. And then like the further I get into it, I'm like, he's so right. Like everything is so right. And I feel so stupid because like, you know, when I first got into it, like obviously the biggest thing on YouTube was Alex Jones. And I fell for that trap. That was an easy one to fall into, you know.
Me too.
See, I missed that. I missed the Alex Jones bandwagon.
Lucky.
I missed that because right when I started waking up to like flat Earth and stuff, like people were like, "Yeah, because I kind of had like a conspiracy mentor, like off the scenes. It was my
my dad.
It was my buddy's father. Yeah, so he was like showing us like what not to watch and who to watch, and he's really like disconnected from all this stuff now. They're both more involved. Who isn't involved with the Trump thing? And everyone's like, Trump's the savior and blah, blah. No, he's not. No, he's the one that's going to take this mother sucker down. But before all of that, and he doesn't put any videos up about that, which is cool, I guess. So maybe he realizes that's not the truth movement type deal right now. But JT Reverse Brainwash, that's his YouTube channel. He's got some knockout stuff for like beginner flat earthers and videos that are taken down. He has bits are like still in there that they haven't taken down yet, like just old, like literally like old like 1990 and like early 2000s like flat earth videos and some good 9/11 stuff and just good work, you know, stuff that I was like watching when I was like 19 and 20, and basically once I hit 21 it was like, you know, they say, you know, you become a man at 21. And, you know, I feel like that God hit me up when I was 21. It was like, you know, you're going to have to do some really stupid things, but you're going to come crawling right back. You'll see. And I was probably like, yeah, you bet. And then, you know, it happened.
I just wanted to mention Pirate here says under Richie from Boston's video for copyright, it has shareable. And Richie always lets everybody share his stuff. He
does. He absolutely does. And
it just tells me that my channel's being watched for sure.
Yeah, and then maybe they don't want more people seeing him than already watching him. You know what I'm saying? They don't want that extra like 1,000 or 2,000 people who've never heard of him before to be like, oh shit, this guy's kind of on point. Maybe the government is lying to me, and you know.
Exactly. Yeah, so I rode around my town today. I didn't see anything weird or suspicious, no military movement in my area or anything. I even went past the McClellan base and everything looks normal. I did get my car washed today because it was covered with pollen, and the girl there wouldn't. See, they have girls there or people at the stand where you pick what car wash you want, and they put your card in for you and all this. And of course, she's got her gloves on. But she wouldn't take my card and put it in. She's like, oh, you're going to have to do it because, you know, we're not allowed to touch anything. And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me, right? You got gloves on first off, but whatever. You know, I said, you know how many people died from the flu? Just the common flu over the last 10 years. Have you ever looked? Oh, well, you know, we're losing people and the elderly people and all this stuff. And I'm like, you watch television. I said, you need to turn that shit off and do yourself a favor. Don't get vaccinated, because if you do, that'll be the worst mistake you ever make in your life. Have a nice day. And I just drove in and got my car washed. And so you can really see that this young girl, and she had to be in her early 20s, was not only abiding by the rules now laid out through her work position, which a car wash, you know, I mean, that's not something that you have to be there to do, you know. So I guess they just decided to be open today. But clearly you could tell that she was, you know, regurgitating what she heard on the tell lies to her vision and that mindset that she was in. And I'm like, do you know how many people die every year of the flu? I said, do we shut down everything and put gloves on and all this stuff because of the flu? No. People are dying left and right now in car wrecks. Is anybody going to ban cars and make a vaccine so you don't ever want to drive a car again? No. It's ridiculous.
Not yet.
And then they don't even realize that this virus or whatever the fuck they're saying it is just a glorified flu. And yes, elderly people die of the flu every year. So do small children, people with weak immune systems.
Yeah. You can't deny that, and people that do deny that are just insane, in my opinion. We show them the facts, we show them the stats, we show them not even the stats that we made up. Go on like the CDC website. Well, maybe they're a little changed by now. They like to change things up, But that's just like the weather manipulation patent I have from 1811. It's not there anymore. If you go on the method of producing rainfall, it only brings you back to 1891, which is still a long time ago, but they don't want you to know that they're 200 years ahead of the game, people. There was a patent that went back to 1811 specifying in the process of generating artificial rain. So yeah, that's a fact. And they've taken that off the internet. They're whitewashing the internet. They're changing facts and right. And that's like I showed the Kobe Bryant equals COVID, the same thing in Hebrew. Now if you try to do that by yourself, they equal each other. They don't equal the same anymore. And thank God I made the video a couple days before that happened. That's like Jen when I was like, hey, let me get your number just in case something happens. And the next day I got banned off of Facebook for like a couple weeks. So that just means that, I feel like I'm more in tune with the creator now than ever. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to go live later, Steve. I didn't realize you were live now until I looked at my phone when I got home, but I'm going to go live later. I'm not sure what time. Hopefully you can join me. And I want to just cover statistics for the basic flu and a few other basic things and go over that with people and just show them that, this thing is bullshit. And even if you do catch this coronavirus, it's just like having a glorified cold or a flu, and you'll get over it. It's nothing new under the sun here. The fact that you see people acting the way they do is all through the tell lies to their vision. And this is a diabolical plan that was put forth years and years and years ago, generations ago, to have a TV in every house, in every room of every house, so they can propagate people and propagandize them. That's what this whole thing is. It's just a massive overload of propaganda. And they got rid of that Smith-Munchen Act or whatever the hell it is. You're not allowed to propagandize the American people. Well, they never abided by that anyway, because we know they've always been propagandizing us. The minute you turn on your tell lies to your vision, you're getting nothing but propaganda. So now it's just like even more prevalent.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Now that they've taken it away, it's been even more in your face with this stuff. But yeah. So what time do you think you're gonna get on that? Because I gotta scoot on out of here just in a little bit. I got some laundry and dinner to do and all that other good stuff. But
you tell me what time's good for you, and then I'll set that up.
I'd say, in about 2 hours or so, I'll be good. I still have a couple things that I have queued up, but we can do all that in your show, because it's all mostly relating to the corona and Trump, and we can get some more I had some stats up in actually I think I sent them a lot of things to you and messages like in the past, so that'd be easier to even get those up. So that'll be cool. And yeah, so we can maybe continue this conversation then. That's cool.
Yeah, I do have a couple little ghost stories to tell.
Hey, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Me or her?
Everybody.
Okay.
Because I've been quiet because I've just been staring at this map, and I'm like, my mind's blown. Because you were talking about stats, so I pulled up the John Hopkins, not the Johns, with the whole world flat world they used to, which is great, and it has all the red blotches for all the cases. And I saw a red dot off the coast of California, and I zoomed in, and it's called Maintop Island. It's an island of San Fran. I lived out there. I don't know what this is, and when I looked it up on even Wikipedia, there's no information on the island.
Huh.
Like when it was founded, who founded it, who lives there, what it's there for. It just says Maintop Island, and there's no information.
Maintop Island?
Yeah, Maintop Island. It's apparently part of San Fran or something right off the coast of San Fran. I never heard of it. I lived out there for a year.
That's weird. I never heard of it.
Blew my mind.
How do you spell that?
Like how you would. One word, Maintop.
Oh, I misheard you. Okay, let's see what we got.
I don't.
What the heck? This is strange.
I don't
You
know
should
what it
screen
is.
share it, Steve. Let's see what you're looking at.
Hold on. I don't know what I'm looking at right now. Hold on.
While you're looking at that, just so you know, police officers in China are now having a special helmet with a visor that gives a thermal scan of people when they walk by.
That's
so they can see-
nice.
so you can see your temperature. It's coming.
Nice. Wow. Okay, so yeah, let me do a screen share because this
Please.
is I've never seen this in my little life. Let's see what we got. So this here,
Yeah.
Main Top Island. So we got that, and yeah, I did the zoom out before. Yeah, right off of San Francisco. Never seen that in my life. How would someone even get the virus over there? That's the funny
don't know.
question. Even if it is a made-up island or whatever the F. That's crazy. I've never heard of this in my life. This isn't like Alcatraz shit or whatever it is.
Right.
Not. It's way too big.
That's like a little Hawaii over there.
That's strange. Why is this called the Jordan?
I don't know. That's a very good question. It's a very biblical.
Yeah, the sea. Yeah, that's not cool.
What was that? The National Wildlife Refuge?
Yeah.
What?
Can I click on this? No.
Yeah, there you go.
What?
They got pictures over here.
This is weird.
What am I looking at?
I don't know, dude. Main Top Island?
Is that where Kobe lives now?
That's what I'm saying.
Probably.
I mean, look at this.
I was gonna say, why won't that load over there? I've never
It's
heard
like
of
a
any of this.
wildlife estuary of some sort, so they keep the seals and the birds protected or something off the coast here. I mean, it looks like it's a pretty big island.
It looks like a little like. I think Hawaii is only a little bit bigger when you combine all the islands together.
Wow.
But if you never type that in, even at a certain distance when you zoom in, you don't see it until you get right on top of it.
Wow. This place is small, dude. That's crazy. Yeah, because you have this over here. Yeah, you got to get that close. Because over here, we got a
What's that up there? The Great West Arch?
Yeah, let's click on that. Can I?
Oh, it's a rock formation.
That of me, man.
What
Where
kind
did
of
this come
goony
from?
shit is this?
All right. Who the hell is Steve Garrison? Uploaded October 2018. Can I click on this? No? Nice. That's what
Roger
I like.
asked, "Are there any roads?" Not that I saw. It's
No.
literally just land masses.
Yeah, let's get a satellite on it.
What?
This is weird. Yeah, there's no roads on this fucker.
Wow.
But it belongs to San Fran, right?
That's what it said down. San Francisco, right there.
I mean, there's technically a road there, but
Can you
it's
zoom
not
in
like.
more?
That's on the separate island. This Jordan Strip, whatever you want to call that, it just kind of splits these islands, and this one has a road or two. You want me to zoom in more? You said.
Yeah.
Is that solar panels?
Over here? Oh, right
No.
here. You mean?
The big white circle to the left of the National Wildlife Refuge. What is
Right,
it? What is that?
right.
What are they?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Sand? What is this over here? What are these?
Tits?
Weird.
What the fuck?
Well, there
What
might
the
be
hell?
a big vagina somewhere.
Like, who the hell's ever heard of this place? Fisherman's Bay. Yeah, I bet you want to be fishing over here with these rocks. That sounds about
dude,
right.
just throw a line in.
That's
But
incredible.
even when you zoom out of it, like what
What is that?
is that? over there.
Island Game Refuge.
What do you?
Fuck? I mean, that wasn't on the other map.
No, it wasn't. It's like it just popped up out of nowhere.
What the fuck?
That's so strange looking.
It's almost as if new lanes are emerging.
Yeah.
You ever watch Transformers #5?
Unfortunately,
The horns come out of the earth, maybe something like that.
That's crazy.
I just texted my brother. My brother was in the Army in Fort Irwin, California, which is about 2.5 hours from San Diego. And I said, hey, you ever hear about this? And he said, I don't know. He said, I know about Alcatraz. That's about it.
Wow. That's crazy. That's incredible.
Blew me away.
Wow. Well, that's not a bad note to end that on. Now my mind's blown. I need to smoke a blunt now.
Same.
Yeah. Hell yeah. But so yeah, Jen. So Jen, do you want to set that up real quick and we could just plug it in the chat later or right now?
Yeah, I got somebody mowing around here right now. But let's see. So it's 4:30 my time, so it'll be 6:30 my time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time we're going to go on.
Cool.
7:30 sound good to you, Steve?
Not bad. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
I just got a couple little things to do. What about Bobby? Is Bobby doing anything later?
You want to come on with us, Bobby?
I would love to.
All right. We'll make sure we I'll put the link in the chat as it's going, and you just click the link and join in like you did last night.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty.
Cool. All right,
and
guys.
then, later on, I'll tell you my scary stories, my ghost stories.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That just blew me away. I was like, what is
No,
this?
it's all good. Because mine actually happened in the house I was living in. Because one person committed suicide, another person died of a heart attack in this house.
Oh, is that all?
And I was sleeping in the room where the person committed suicide.
4 people have died in my house that I'm in now. Wow. And they're there. They're here. They're doing something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Knocks and footsteps,
I'm going to go, guys. There's somebody mowing real close to me here, so I'm going to dip out. I love you guys. And Steve, I'll send you the StreamYard link.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
All right.
I'll see you later.
All right, Bobby, I'll talk to you later, too.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Bye, everybody. Mwah.
So, yeah, but like Knox, you said Knox footsteps, more like ripping blankets off of me when I'm sleeping, moving my fan. Like my fan literally moves. Like I'll have it propped up on something and it literally just rotates.
What?
And I there's been times I watch it just rotate. I'm like, well, I hate it here.
Oh, dude, that's scary. Well, at least you're like cool with God, At least it's not gonna like really like attack you. Because I feel like the people that have no clue what's like going on in the spirit world are the ones that usually get attacked the hardest.
Ever since I devoted, to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I haven't been attacked once.
Same.
So-
I've had some things go down around me, but never like a physical thing. Like
Same.
I've heard my television growl, which is why like I unplugged my television a couple of days ago, and I have no intent of plugging it back in. It's just like a better vibe in my room now,
For sure.
Yeah, and like it's weird. The screen's like a different black now. Like you can tell it's just completely off, as if it was plugged in, it was like a different shade. Like it was still like monitoring or listening or whatever you want to call it. It's just
that frequency, man. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I've had some like crazy dreams since I've turned it off too. So I feel like that was like interrupting with like my dreams and whatnot.
Oh, dude, the router for your Wi-Fi, anything, TVs, they all send out this frequency, and they're designed to keep you inside of this low frequency fear, like bad place. When you unplug everything, like when I first started meditating again, I went to a remote place where you can see almost everything in the sky, and I just laid back, and I had some of the most incredible moments of my life meditating. And then I try to meditate in my house, and I can't even keep my eyes shut for 2 minutes because like my mind's racing. I'm hearing things. Like it's so it's just I hate it. When I come back into my room after being outside, I could feel it. Like I'm walking into a cage, and I could feel all the frequency. It's not good.
No, it's not, dude. It's really not. And it's just unfortunate that devices like this have to be run off of some sort of wave like that, but I mean, it's just like the knife, you can use the knife to cut up vegetables, or you can use it to cut up your neighbor. So it's all about the intent.
Yeah, intent's huge. Frequency, like they actually say that paranormal investigators will call it the what they call it the fear cage, when like people are in like doing their laundry, they'll have like the light above them, they're right by the circuit breaker, the things are plugged, the washing machine's plugged into the wall, so it's all that frequency EMF that's like on them, and being in high doses of EMF can actually make you hallucinate and actually make you hear things that aren't really there. Like there's nothing really going on, but because you're in this fear cage of all this EMF around you, it's starting to play in your body. You'll hallucinate. You'll hear things that aren't. That's why that happens. Like when you say, "Hey, did you hear that?" You'd be like, "No, what was that?" You'd be like, "Are you kidding me? A truck just hit the side of this building. You didn't feel that?" Like, "No, I didn't hear anything." That's because you're inside that cage and you're open to it. Yeah, They call it the fear cage.
That's interesting. Well, wow. Damn.
It's amazing.
That is, dude. It is. And that's yeah, like you said, intent is everything. So, but I think we're gonna wrap this up. Thanks for coming on such short notice, Bobby. But
thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope I'll see you over there at Jen's later. But
I will be there.
All right, you got any last things you want to say to the chat real quick? We still got 40 watching.
Sure thing. I always will end almost everything like this. I love y'all. Be safe. Not from the coronavirus, just in general. Be safe. Find Jesus if you have not. Peace, love, and positivity always. Don't let yourself get into that fear. Don't let yourself get into that angry. Let that all go. Higher vibrations and just love and peace, man. Always.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Absolutely. But all right, guys, we're going to get on out of here. God bless all of you in the chat. Thank you for coming. I know I didn't really go through the chat. We kind of just got the ball rolling real quick today, but we'll be on Jen's chat later in her stream. So the True Seeker 69, if you guys aren't subbed and whatever to her, definitely check that out. We'll be there just a little bit. And if any of my mods can get Bobby Stevens his page and put that in the chat, definitely subscribe to him, because as you can see, he's got some stuff upstairs. Positive.
Always. And I got some videos coming. I've been going to a lot of hospitals around, asking nurses and trying to see how the coronavirus is affecting them. And so far, I haven't gotten nothing. 0 patients. So,
of course, but they got the morgue set up for all the
all those dead bodies are carrying out.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands. Great.
You know.
Absolutely. But all right, brother, thanks for coming. We're gonna put on a song by Destiny Lab. This is the Original Sin, guys, and this is what it all comes down to. It's just a new packaged version of it. But I'm out of here, guys. God bless y'all.
See ya.
Come, I'll show you the sweetest delight in the garden. As a surprise for Adam.
Really?
Come.
All right.
Here.
But this is the one tree in the garden we cannot touch. This is the forbidden fruit.
Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? Surely not.
We may eat the fruit of any tree in the garden, except for the tree in the middle of the garden. God has forbidden us to either touch or eat the fruit of that tree, for if we do, we shall die.
You believe that nonsense? Of course you will not die. God knows that as soon as you eat it, your eyes will be opened, and you and Adam will be like gods yourselves.
All of us one day will reach the level of the avatars that we have read about in history, the Buddhas, Jesus, Infinite One's God.
You ancient serpent, you cast your spell upon this planet with your graven images and your wishes to be worshipped. Witches and warlocks flock like Harry Potter fans, waiting for your new age plan to spread across the land. You got the masses dumped down where you want them, convinced that you don't exist, and now you got them atheists. Some even think they're evolving to a godlike level above and beyond human. These Luciferian lies feed on ego and pride. They come disguised as an angel of light, like the original sin and the first deception. The tree in the garden, don't you see the connection? It's the same old lie that he used back then at the beginning of time, at the fall of man. Have we forgotten the truth within the book of Genesis? Ignorant of the nature of sin, so we dismiss written words of God as an irrelevant myth, but then embrace all these new age thoughts of nonsense.
It's not good or bad. There's no God waiting to punish you because you did one or the other.
There is no God in doom. Everyone is God. Welcome to the kingdom of heaven, without judgment, without hate, without testing, without anything.
I call my practices and pagan worshiping as act exists. See through the smoke and the mirrors and the mist. From Atlantis to the Murian fanatical myths, to the UFO connection with the German SS. Secret society elitists from the east and the west. Illuminati and Masonics had it all connect. Satanic worship to the depths we don't want to admit. It's a globalized illusion that we gotta correct. Check the symbols and signs like the all-seeing eye. Read the Bible facts to understand the great design. See the writing on the wall, we're living in end times. And even the elective now bought into the lie. Real Satanists are dressed up in their suits and ties, eating the fruit like these fools who think they are divine. They aren't evolved, they're just blinded by ego and pride, living a lie that disguised like Jekyll and Hyde. Can you deny that these times were all prophesied? Read Matthew 24:24, you decide.
There's no such thing as good or bad. We're judging the externals